All right, hey everybody. Looks like we are live here. Beautiful, what is it, Wednesday? Beautiful Wednesday morning over here in California. Today I'm actually in Antioch. If you don't know what Antioch is, it's a town over here. It's not much to write home about. No offense if you live in Antioch. Because I didn't do an official video last week, I wanted to do just a quick little check-in and then maybe make some comments about Relapse. Now, I think it was Thursday I did a video, and I was already kind of talking about Relapse also. And that video actually got a lot of hits. We actually had a pretty, for the size of this ministry, we actually had some pretty good action on the website, but on the Facebook page, which I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful that the videos are getting clicks and the videos are getting liked and watched and all that. Because obviously, I make these things because I feel compelled to, but, I prefer when people watch them. But, I got a lot on my mind right now, but I had a long drive into work this morning. It was about an hour and a half. So I was able to catch the 6 a.m. meeting at my old home group. And I say old home group because, obviously I haven't been there because of the shutdown. The shutdown to all the recovery meetings. And the topic of the meeting was emotional sobriety, and we could say a bunch about that. But there was a guy there, and I've known this guy since, I don't know, probably I probably met him the first few months I got clean and sober. So that's over 9 years ago, which every day that blows my mind, because I didn't even expect to have 9 days clean. I never expected to have a recovery life at all. But yeah, so I met this kid, and I know he's had his challenges over the years or whatever. But he mentioned that he had just got out of rehab not that long ago. And it got me thinking, just, how real relapse is and how real backsliding is. For me, it's just a fresh reminder of the goodness of God's grace. Because when I hear people's stories, or I hear them talk about what led up to the slip or what led up to the backslide and all that kind of stuff. And, people will give you a bunch of reasons, and I sit there and I'm like, man, all that could be said of me as well. Every single thing that they're saying could be true of me as well. And I think about my life and my program or my lack thereof or whatever. And, I realized the only real difference is that person chose to drink, and that those of us, or use or go back to whatever that behavior was. Like recently, we had a guy who, had a relapse in his mind, or what he considered a relapse and a backslide on pornography. So it's not always just drugs and alcohol, obviously. I'm trying to get that glare gone. But it always gets me because that's literally what it is. The only thing those people did differently, we could say, oh, they weren't going to enough meetings. But, I've seen guys that go to 10 meetings a week and they fall away. Oh, well, they weren't working with enough people. Well, I've seen guys that were working with a lot of guys, and, or ladies that were working with a lot of ladies, and those people went out too. Well, maybe they weren't working the 12 steps enough. I've actually seen guys that are really working the program like their life depends on it, and they still pick up and drink. So really, at the end of the day, it's just the difference between those of us that are sober and those of us that aren't is because we didn't get loaded. We didn't pick up. We didn't give in to that temptation, that pull, the previous day. It's really what it comes down to. Now, I know, being a Christian ministry, the grace of God, right? The grace of God ultimately keeps us sober. And the grace of God has kept me sober for 9 years. I like to joke, I'm not that good at recovery. And if it's not God, then I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. But AA does talk about how the only step we can do perfectly is the first step. And I've always interpreted that to mean we don't pick up the first drink, because, my understanding of my personal powerlessness and my inability to control my life and all that, well, that changes from day to day as well. That changes from day to day. So it just gets me thinking about my own mortality. It's like when you go to a funeral, you start thinking about your own mortality. When I hear about relapses, I think about my own recovery. I weep for that person. I mourn for that person. And then I look at myself and I just say, thank you, God. Thank you, Jesus, that, it wasn't me. It sucks for that person. I hope this is short. I hope it doesn't last long. But God, thank you that you've kept me another day and I haven't had to go back to that insanity. I mean, even just this morning, right? And I don't want to be a downer, but, relapse, it's a part of recovery, or it's a part of being around recovery. You've been around recovery for any amount of time, you're going to see friends come and go. I mean, even just this morning, I got a text from a guy who's at a treatment center, and they're having some issues because someone relapsed and came back, and now they won't leave. And that's not the only time I've ever heard instances like that. But even that, it's like, that guy who texted me, probably been sober 20 days at most or something like that. Just recently came back from a relapse himself. And, and in talking about all this, I don't really get into the relapse prevention side. There's a million things that you could do for relapse prevention. You guys have your support groups, you have your programs. I'm not really too concerned about that side of things. Reform to recover, I really am more concerned about addiction along theological lines. That's kind of my focus, and that's been my thing. So I've definitely fallen short in the practical application of that one with that. But that's not where, that's not what I feel compelled to deal with. I mean, I've published things like God's 10 Words, and I've published the Living Recovery booklets. Those are like practical, hands-on kind of things. But as far as relapse prevention goes, my always relapse prevention is this. Just don't pick up no matter what. And I was talking about it with a guy who had a slip a few weeks ago, and I told him, here's the thing, man. Like I said, I don't understand why anyone stays sober. Apart from the grace of God, I don't understand how anybody stays clean and sober. And I told the guy, I was like, here's a secret. You got to be willing to sit in your pain sometimes. You got to be willing to sit in the discomfort. You got to be willing to sit in the anxieties. Because sometimes, at least for me, sometimes they don't go away. Sometimes they last. Sometimes they hang on for a long time. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months. You might be sitting in that disease. And you could do the steps. You could pray. You can meditate. You could inventory. You could do all that kind of stuff. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to change the way you feel. And that is what I think is the key to successful recovery, is you have to sit in your pain. You have to feel it. Because sometimes it doesn't go away. Do everything that you can, right? Do all that good program stuff. Do the sponsorship. Work with another alcoholic. Yeah, those are good distractions, for lack of better terms. Those can be good distractions. But sometimes it doesn't go away. Sometimes it takes a long time for the resentment to go away. I think about when they asked Christ, how many times do I forgive my brother? 7 times? Well, he thought that was a real profound number, right? And what does Christ say? 7 times 70 times. Well, if you do the math, that gives you a high number. But I don't think that's the point of the story. I think the point of the story is that sometimes it's tough, and sometimes the resentments are hard, and we have to continually forgive. And we have to continually let those things go, because they continually pop back up. But they're never an excuse to get loaded. They're never an excuse to drink again. That's the thing. They're never an excuse. Disease, missies, all that stuff. Depression, suicidal ideation, all that fun stuff that we go through, they're not excuses to drink. And that's why we always hear in the program every day, any meeting you go to, any program, AA, NA, Celebrate Recovery, Smart Recovery, whatever it might be, don't pick up the first drink. Don't drink no matter what. Don't drink in between meetings. Don't use no matter what. Don't use. Because these things are eventually going to go. Even if it was 6 months, you're going to wake up one day, do your step work, all that stuff, do whatever you got to do, you know what? And it's not going to be bogging you down so much. It's just a matter of time. These things too shall pass. This too shall pass. So that's kind of my relapse prevention, is just the, keep relying on God, keep resting in God, remain gratitude, whatever that, remain grateful, whatever that might look like. And, just sit in the pain. During my addiction studies, one of my mentors used to talk about, and he's the one who put the program together and all that stuff, the college program I went through. And, he said, you gotta turn into the pain. You gotta embrace it. And sometimes you gotta just sit there and feel it. And sit there and feel it. And then you'll realize that it won't kill you. And that was very profound to me, and it's helped me out a number of times, because I've gone through times when I felt scared for my life, and this stuff just wouldn't go away. And I sat there and I would feel it, really feel what I was going through, being present with what I was going through. And I'd go to bed and I'd be sober. And then it might come up again the next day. And I could reference that. I think, but you know what? Look, I went through this yesterday. I might not like this feeling, but you know what? It didn't kill me yesterday, and it doesn't have to kill me today. And I thought about it, and I said, you know what I think I'm doing there? You know what I think that is? I think that's relying on God, because I could vocalize it, and I could quote you 39 verses, right? But to really understand it, I think that right there, that was faith. That was trusting in God. That this didn't kill me yesterday. This didn't end me yesterday. This doesn't have to end me today. It doesn't have to end me today. So that's my little reflection on relapse. I'm hoping to get back on the a formal teaching tomorrow night. It's not going to be the Bible-based recovery series. I'm taking a short break from that. But we're in the Advent season, and I've been announcing I was going to do some Advent videos, so that's going to start tomorrow night. And that will run through Christmas Eve. Probably 3 total. I'm not going to do one on Christmas Eve, I don't think. I had to work Christmas Eve, so. But probably after the new year, I'm going to jump back on the Bible-based recovery series. I just finished up another lesson for that. And then I have 2 more lessons that are probably going to be 2-parters. So there's probably going to be 5 more unless I add more to it. And I keep adding more to it. But that's probably going to be 5 to that. So that's probably going to push us into February, which will be good, because my family and we're moving over to Texas, and it's going to be good for me to have a little bit of time to settle in, new job, hopefully with the same company, but new job, new house, new commute, settle in, maybe find some meetings over there, but it'll give me a little bit of time to kind of settle and, reassess some things with Reformed and Recovered, and maybe get back into a teaching series or something in April. So that's kind of the future of this ministry. I have another little booklet I'm hoping to release in the next few weeks It's going to be a little practical commentary on Psalm 4. If you go through the videos, you'll see that I did one on Psalm 4:7. That's going to be part of that. And then it's going to have a verse by verse breakdown. And who knows, maybe I'll give that on here. But that's going to be part of my, what I'm calling a practical commentary on the Psalms series. This will be the third one that I've written. I've done one on Psalm 121. I did one for COVID on Psalm 91. And this will be Psalm 4. So I definitely want to do more of those in the future. Even if I'm not doing the formal videos, I still plan to be writing and publishing stuff. So if you're interested in any of that, let me know. PM me. And with that being said, I am at the job site. I'm going to go in here, check in, see if I can't start early and get out early. So I love you guys. Hit me up. I'd love to talk to you. And thanks for all the likes. Thanks for all the shares. Thanks for all the clicks on the videos and everything. So I'm grateful to do this type of ministry. And I'm grateful that God has always sent me people to do this ministry with. So like I said, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I love you guys. Have a good one.